Hey everybody, it's Frederick and Gene Watts, and this is Love in 60 Seconds. Hope that you are doing good this evening. Welcome everybody on Facebook and Instagram. Letting everybody get a chance to sign in. And today is Monday, what is today? I don't even know. 28th,
28th,
I
I
think.
think. Yeah.
Turn my phone on silent. So hope that you guys had a great weekend. And not won't be long tonight, but we're gonna hit a few topics. Gene's not really feeling that great, but we're gonna press through it. Hope you all are doing well.
Yeah.
So we appreciate your likes. Please share this with your friends, family members, or you think anybody that would enjoy it, and definitely interact with us this evening as we talk about some topics.
Yeah.
I think tonight we're going to talk about relationships and talking the tough talk and the real talk, having certain conversations that every marriage should have.
Absolutely. There's a lot of things that couples sometimes argue about or disagree about, but they never have a head-on conversation about it. Like we were kind of just discussing in light. It's not one of our topics tonight, but just kind of something in light that we were discussing. Like I think was it yesterday or was it Saturday? One of those days was National Spouses Day. Of course, some day that we had no idea that was out. National Spouses Day, people posting things about their spouse. But I don't think many people really knew about it. Right. So they didn't subscribe to it. It's like, Grandparents' Day or Boss's Day or Secretary's Day. Well, Secretary's Day is pretty popular because I try to take care of our secretaries. But, but some of the days that they just come out with Pets Day, National Cat Day, Dog Day, whatever, people don't really care. But anyways, my husband made a wonderful post about me for National Spouses Day. It was very cute, so I really appreciate it. Hey there, everyone.
Hey Lisa, hey LaShonda.
So yeah, National Spouses Day was that day, a day we didn't know about. But again, having those conversations sometimes within your relationships, those kind of days are super important to your spouse. So you do need to know, and you need to find out whether or not those days are the days that or are they significant to your spouse, because they can feel slighted if you don't wish them a happy National Spouse Day. They might feel slighted. Obviously, if you're forgetting days like Valentine's Day, you're forgetting days like Sweetest Day. We don't even celebrate Sweetest Day. He's my sweetest, but like it comes around, we're like, what? But Valentine's Day is our anniversary, so we celebrate that for sure.
All right. So tonight, hey everybody that's joining us on Facebook and Instagram. My brother Moore, bless you, and everybody. The Trumbos, man, what an honor to have you guys tonight. We're going to talk about some things about the tough talk when you're talking in marriage or things. So we want to hit a few things. We want to ask you some questions. I'm not sure if our polls are going to be up tonight, but there's some topics that we want to converse about and want you guys to hit us back on concerning like friends of the opposite sex. We sort of talked about this before. Finances, whether or not what type of finances that sometimes draw the conversations or arguments, like should you have separate accounts, things of that nature. When or is it appropriate to maybe tone up or tone down sexiness when you're married, as far as dealing with outside your marriage when your spouse isn't around? Maybe conversations with the ex, is that okay? Whether or not that's okay. Having girls or a lot of girl or boy trips all the time and not taking your spouse places. And then finally, how to come back from the offense if you've been offended. So let's talk about the first one. I'll try to get this poll up, but what do you guys think? Do you think married couples should have one-on-one friendships with the opposite sex?
And actually, you can really just comment. You can comment on Instagram, Facebook. We don't even have to have the poll up. You can comment your idea on that. Is it a yay or nay? Should are you okay with your husband having a really close friend of the opposite sex? Like he's like my best friend is this person, or her best friend is this guy. And for me, like all through the time when I was a kid or whatever, my best friends were always guys. My best relationships that I had with bosses were guys. Always had good guy friends. That just was my dynamic. My brother used to say, I think like a guy sometimes. So, it is what it is. That was how it was before I got married. But now I do not have male friends that my husband does not also know and engage with. That's two things. Like I have like associates, but I still anybody that I have any kind of really real conversations with or socialize with on any type of basis, my husband also does as well. He doesn't just know them, but he also talks to them as well.
And we're talking about one-on-one friends. And one thing that I always live by, and I think that we sort of incorporate as married couples, if you find the need to hide anything from your spouse, a person or anything, then it's probably something that you shouldn't be doing. Even if it's a friend or something that you're doing or something like that. Like, it's fine if you're aware, and we're talking especially one-on-one opposite sex relationship. What is it? What is appropriate? Well, when we talk about friendships, what's the definition of a friend? Is a person that offers you support in a relationship, that is, even though the relationship may fluctuate, but it takes the amount of fellowship, it's emotional, it shows closeness and affection, and also gives support. So maybe, what do you think, as far as a one-on-one, opposite sex relationship?
For me, I think that is really you're treading dangerous waters when you do that, because there was a situation, and this is like somebody, and they were like, okay, well, this person has been my friend since I was a kid, and I got married or whatever, and they kind of was still my friend, but like, but I started, really talking about my wife, how much I love her and blah, blah, blah. And this person just completely cut me off, just completely blocked me. That person had some kind of feelings for you. That person had some kind of, they weren't just your friend, even though you thought they were just your friend. They weren't. You make it leaves you open to developing emotional crutches and emotional ties, and sometimes physical things, when you have relationships that's just between you and that person. Right. Your spouse should definitely know, but you should definitely tread lightly in those areas and not do too much of that type of relationship, or have too much of that type of relationship.
And that's very important. I like what Dominique said. It's okay as long as your spouse is aware of who it is. It is okay. But I really want you to guys understand that the key component to a long-lasting marriage is the relationship, and it's the relationship between husband and wife, and that's what makes it successful. So don't mistake the freedom of being able to have that relationship by being so selfish that you don't want to give up that freedom if need be. Absolutely. To save your relationship.
Absolutely.
Because the reason why it may or may not be appropriate, because if you're not able to guard your marriage, then it's probably, that relationship is probably not appropriate.
And you should never share any details about your marriage or marital struggles with that person. That is off limits. I don't care if they is your good friend from second grade. You don't share those type of relationship details with somebody of the opposite sex that you are not. And and that goes for people that have relationships too close with people of the same sex. You don't share too much with regard to that, if those relationships become unhealthy relationships.
Right. And once again, that one-on-one opposite sex relationship is what we're talking about, where the spouse really doesn't know or know that person. And what that happens is that really gives an increase, or it decreases your marriage opportunity to flourish if you're hiding stuff, or
That's
like I said, if you're trying to do something that basically your spouse doesn't know about. It's giving you an opportunity, and what it does, it takes away from your marriage to mature if you're holding on to those friends that are and it may increase the opportunity for infidelity to come in.
Absolutely.
So you don't want to have, anything that's going to give that increase.
Absolutely. You want to absolutely just be careful with those relationships and be watchful for those relationships.
Be careful. So we're curious, what else do you guys think on that? And, we're trying to look at, we appreciate you guys hitting those like buttons and heart buttons. So, we really don't want to say what works well, and, what works well for us may not work well for you. But what we suggest is that, always put your marriage first, and don't be so selfish that if your spouse says, hey, this relationship makes me uncomfortable, or I'm not really appreciated, don't be so selfish to not examine how important that is in your marriage relationship, and may sometimes have to let some of those one-on-one opposite sex relationship go.
Absolutely. I agree.
Yep. All right. Number 2.
All right.
So another discussion that we have and that we've been sharing with just friends and that we've heard about is finances. Sometimes finances can be the reason that couples struggle.
Yeah.
So it's even led to arguments. Some couples have divorced over not being able to come together on finances.
Yeah.
What do you guys think? Well, like, what do you guys think about, should married couples have separate bank accounts?
I think that the main, and this is my opinion, and this is just kind of basically, and then, I guess each scenario is different, but as a general rule, I think that couples should share the main bank account. And the reason that I say that is because of the spirit of accountability. If somebody is spending too much money on something, if they're spending money on something they don't got no business spending money on. You know what I'm saying? You are both very transparent. That it makes that money situation transparent.
Right.
I don't know.
No, that's good. It's really not a yes or no question that once again, what works well in your relationship. But the question that you should ask yourself is what you said. It's about accountability. Joint accounts usually allows you to have accountability, but it also promotes trust, right? It also promotes, it prevents money secrets. It gives a clear picture of even your finances. Now, it doesn't mean, I think you gave a scenario. What scenario would it might not be good to have a joint account?
Yeah, I mean, if you have a situation where you marry somebody and they owe the IRS or something like that, you might not want to put all your money together until you get yourself straightened out. You know what I'm saying? Because if they put a lien on your account, they put a lien on everybody's account. However, if they do that, you can do an inter-spouse and they will release part of your funds.
And sometimes even if you're older, you get married later in life.
True. You have different two separate portfolios.
Might not be feasible right at first, but it's all about accountability. Even if you have separate accounts, just a money manager would tell you, even if it's my account, I'm still gonna put my wife's name on it because she won't be able to get my money if I die.
Exactly. Will not have access. Exactly. Will not be able to take care of bills or take care of things. Absolutely.
Yeah. So you don't want to just. It's basically about being accountable.
And the root word of accountability is account. So you got to have your account together so that you can have accountability.
There you go. And in marriage, you want to make sure that you guys are on the same page. And even in that, because think about it, if you and your wife or your spouse, is in a rowboat and only one person's rowing, you're going to go around in a circle.
Right? So true.
So, you want to make sure that even in all aspects, including finances, you guys are both participating and that you're both moving together so that you aren't going in circles. But we're suggesting that if you are having issues where trust is a factor, some things have happened in the past where accountability might be a factor. One thing with finances might be able to say, you know what, let's do some things so I can monitor, not because I don't trust you, but maybe so that you can help me increase my trust, that you can help us make sure that we're planning for the future.
And somebody said something really good. Classic Couture said, I don't believe there's no my money, there's our money. And that is so, when you can really share your money, you're really sharing a lot of trust and you're really putting your whole heart into your relationship when you share your money like that. I'm grateful that, that means like if we struggling, we know we struggling. We putting it together. We winning. We know that we are winning. We know what the financial situation is. My husband trusts me to kind of take care of things financially. He gives me the money, but he trusts me to take care of it because he knows I'm gonna keep the lights on. I'm not gonna be walking around with shoes and he in the dark. That's not gonna happen. So he's, we're gonna take care of what needs to be taken care of. Hi, Alicia.
Like what Dominique said, he has his own account, but they have accounts together, and she can access it. And then that's pretty much what,
absolutely.
I think that's good because it takes care of accountability. You may have to do business or whatever, and then you can know who's paying what bill and doing all of that. But once again, it's all about accountability and trust. And we're going through these quickly because we're not going to be on tonight.
Sister Jean got a headache tonight.
So one of our conversations that we had this was a question somebody DM'd us. Toning down sexy. There's a situation basically where this person was, has always carried themselves in that way. And then after marriage, the question was, well, I feel that maybe you should tone it down when you're not around me. So what do you guys think about that?
Should you tone down your sexy, once you're married?
Once you're married, and what does that imply? Around your spouse, when you're not around your spouse, do you have to change? While we're talking about that, you want to hit that first, but we want to hear what hear what you guys think about that as we're scrolling down, looking at some of the comments.
I definitely, for me, I feel like that's your sexiness should definitely be monitored, and I think that it should be toned down when you're not with your spouse. When you're not, if you're out with the girls, you out with the girls, or you out on your own, you should not be wearing low cut, super high splits, super, showing your goods, really revealing outfits or whatever. That's male or female, getting all your judge, your sexy out. When you're out, when you're not with your spouse. Now, when I'm with my spouse, he likes my legs, so I'm gonna have on a short skirt. You know what I'm saying? He likes, me in certain types of dresses. I'm going to have on the types of dresses that he likes when I'm out with him. Because, okay, I can put my sexy on 1,000 when I'm out with him. And he enjoys when other guys look at me when I'm out, which is so crazy. But, you know what I'm saying? It gives him a sense of, I don't know, pride, I guess. Once, we're out together and I get attention from other guys, which is okay. And, I don't care if he get attention from other girls, because I know he gets attention from other girls, but it's all good because he mine. So, but, his sexy is always, classy. You know what I'm saying? And so is mine. So, if you're not with your spouse, I feel like you don't need to do all that.
Yeah, because it's sort of like what's appropriate, and then and then what is whatever works in your home works in your home, but what is your intention of that? What attention are you seeking? And that's something to maybe ask yourself. So it's okay to be sexy, it's okay to look good and all that, but what are you seeking attention from somebody that is not your spouse, and that's what you desire? Because once again, we're talking about setting up barriers and walls that might open the door for something, it might open the door for something you don't want, or a conversation. Hey, pretty lady, how you doing? Let's talk. Oh, now that's my,
Or they looking down your shirt, or your legs, and you're inviting on inappropriate attention.
Right. If you desire that, so you have to check what's your intention, what's important. By all means, be sexy, but even something that we saw about, unfortunately, like sometimes you can invalidate yourself by how you present yourself.
Absolutely.
If in certain areas, and unfortunately sometimes even more for women, how they're looked at. So you don't want to ever bring any negativity, even as when you're in the workplace or in marriage or whatever it is. So we're hitting these tough topics tonight. Please say something to us on Facebook, Instagram, hit those likes and hearts so we know that we're there. The next conversation that we've had, or somebody talked to us, and we just want to throw in, was conversations with the ex. Is it okay to have intimate conversations with the ex? What do you think about that?
Well, what I think about that is, what are you talking to your ex about? There ain't nothing to talk to him about. So no, you don't need to be talking to him. You see him wherever, around the way, at the grocery store, at the gas station, at church. What up? And you keep. That's okay. We go back to it. The only reason I think that anyone should be talking to somebody they were in an ex relationship with is if they have like a child together or something like that. Okay. And even in that situation, that conversation should be about the well-being of the child, or what the plan is for the child, or whatever the case is. But other than that, I don't really got nothing else to talk to you about.
Right.
What am I talking to you about? Thank you for the likes and the heart, because I know I'm telling the truth. I got an amen corner over here. What? Okay. Why I'm talking to you? You're not talking about nothing. Why am I talking to my ex? No reason to go back there. No reason to have that kind of conversation, unless it has something to do with some kind of mutual, like I said, a child. Other than that, no reason.
And it is a loaded question. Is a no with the asterisk, like you said, if you have to deal with a child or something. But absolute no, discussing your intimate, emotional stuff with your ex, and concerning your spouse.
And even if they're like, hey, what's up? Yeah. Nothing.
How you doing?
Good. Have a good day.
Keep it short. Keep
good
it
day.
moving.
Good day.
What you calling me? Did I forget something that 10 years ago? Whatever.
Send it, in the mail, or put it in a box outside. It's all good. So that's me. That's my answer.
Yeah. I like Lisa. What Lisa said. She said they're an ex for a reason.
Yes, they are X. Well, thank you, Lisa. Amen to that. I'm gonna give you
X
some hearts right there, Lisa.
So
they're X for a reason.
And once again, like we talked about setting one, why give yourself in a relationship, in a marriage, an opportunity for something to come back later?
Absolutely.
You want to set up a wall, protect yourself. You're trying to protect your marriage. So these topics that we're talking about, it's not like, oh, just our opinion, just things that we believe, and there's some biblical principles behind some of our opinions here. But you want to protect your marriage. You have to protect it, because there is an attack on your marriage. God, the enemy doesn't want to see you happy. He doesn't want to see you successful. And that foundation that God set up in the church for marriage is the foundation of the community. It's the foundation of the family. So do everything that you can to protect your marriage. Now, we skip one, and this is one that everybody, I'm really curious to see what you guys say, especially on Instagram, Facebook. The effect of social media in marriage. Talking about Facebook, talking about Instagram, Snapchat, all that stuff. What do you guys think? And I'll put it out there. Sometimes infidelity and social media sometimes go hand in hand.
So many times,
because it is a way, even on Facebook, they think there's something called Facebook divorce or Facebook infidelity. There's no accountability. It'll lead to areas in your life where secrets can happen. So what do you guys think?
Well, Facebook, to me, and that's one of the reasons why I am not on Facebook, because I think Facebook is fake book to me. Because the most of the stuff that's on it, people's face, all the people's angles, I'm gonna take a picture like this. I'm gonna take my selfie like this. That's not your real size. Right. That's not your real angle. But you're gonna take that picture like that. You know what I'm saying? It's the stuff that you put on. You paint a facade of what you want people to see, and what you think you want people to see. So you already start out a lot of times, and not everybody. Some people have really authentic pages, and I would get really wrapped up in everybody's story and be reading everything, so I can't do it. But I would enjoy it. But for the most part, it's just like a lot of a lot of times people are doing the most. And if you get into that where you're doing things and you're not being honest, you're being secretive to who you're having relationships with on Facebook, conversations, and you're just like, oh, I'm just talking to my friend from high school. Just found out this is my first love from high school, my old boyfriend or whatever. Really though? I mean, really? Is this what you're doing? I think it's harmless, and honestly, it may be harmless in the very beginning. It could be harmless in the very beginning, but it is always something that you have to watch, because it can lead to disaster, and in so many cases it has. Right.
So we're just saying, we're not saying social media is bad, but you want to guard your marriage. Make sure, like I said before, if there's something that you're doing that you think you have to hide from your spouse, then you probably shouldn't be doing it.
You definitely shouldn't be doing it.
And you should also make sure that on social media that you have accountability towards your spouse in all areas. And basically, when you're married and you're using social media, some people on it every day, just is a simple conversation. Hey, what's appropriate? What do you think about this? What do you think about this friend? What do you think about this person? And making sure, and we're talking about social media and interacting with the opposite sex one-on-one. And I saw, even some people were saying, Facebook versus fakebook. And I hope, Lisa, that your husband does enjoy this conversation. What isn't he not liking about it? We think that we laugh about it. He said her husband not liking this at all.
Well, I mean, it is what it is.
It's funny because you don't want to have a behavior that's going to just affect your marriage.
Absolutely. So, we're just speaking from 20, almost 22 years, Lisa. So we hope your husband, understands that we are coming from longevity in relationship, and we think that longevity is important. And that's for everybody. Longevity is important, and we want everyone else to have longevity, but not just longevity, but we want you to have happiness and longevity, because that is really the important thing to really enjoy. Because if you get off, you let all kinds of stuff just, get past you, before you know it, you're in a whirlwind of trouble, and then you don't know how to get out, and you really are thinking then, dang, I should just never I never should have did that. Have you ever done something in a relationship?
Oh, yeah.
Have you ever done something, even not even in a relationship, and you look back on it and be like, dang, if I just never had done that, then none of this would have happened.
Plenty of times.
Regrets.
Yeah.
It will save you from regret. And we're just trying to save you from regret.
Right.
I'm trying to save you from regret.
Right. Yeah. And especially in this area with social media, Facebook, Instagram, it's smart. And basically it's having accountability. And maybe here's some things that I would suggest when you're on social media and maybe you're struggling in your marriage, some do's and don'ts, maybe just for using the Facebook, using the Instagram. Number one is that you should refrain from accepting or friending a person that is either emotionally or sexually interested in you or tied to you.
Absolutely.
Right? That's just number one. You know what? You don't give the opportunity for you to be tempted or make mistakes. Don't go searching for it. And if you had an ex or that don't even accept it.
Even if you like, and I'm 100,000 years, would I talk back to this person? Because I had a person that would in my DMs all the time would be like, "You are a beautiful queen. You so fine. Oh my gosh, you are." And I knew this person from college, and just would be like, and I'm looking at this person, and I'm, forgive me if I come across the wrong way. I was thinking like, in a million years, sir, if you was the last person that was out there, it would just be me. And that's it, because I would not be with you, is what I'm thinking. So I had to end up blocking that person. And I told my husband, I was like, and I showed my husband the stuff. I said, now listen, I just want you to make sure you know there's nothing happened with this fella, but I don't know why this man keep DMing me that I'm a beauty queen. I'm amazing. I can sing. I'm all this wonderful stuff. Great, sir. But no, it's inappropriate. I'm very married, and you know that. So,
and you're going to have the opposite sex communication.
Yeah.
That's not saying don't, but
right.
If you do have it, make it brief.
Yep.
Oh man, you know what? Hey, we got a mutual friend. Oh, you like a picture? Oh, honey, I like our friend's picture on Facebook, or whatever. Whatever, blah blah.
But what kind of pictures? Let's talk about that though. Yeah. What kind of pictures should you be liking?
Yeah,
or not liking?
Yeah, you should as a husband, you should be liking nobody single, picture trying to do,
or even married picture.
Yeah, married picture too of inappropriate stuff. And
if yo somebody from your church got on a sexy swimsuit with all they mess out, and or even if it's somebody that whole high school friend, somebody and they got sexy pictures, or he got all his abs out, he got his chest oiled up, all tans and buffed in Bermuda on the sand. Don't like his picture.
Right,
do not press the heart.
Even
if it's in your heart, don't press the heart, okay? Because first of all, it's just disrespect, especially if your husband got a wheelbarrow around the middle. Don't you do that. And even if he's like, your husband is super super duper fly, whatever, because my husband is super fly. But
say that to all the guys.
Oh, whatever. I only mean it when I say it to you. But anyways, when you do that, it's kind of disrespectful.
It is.
I think that it's disrespectful. I don't expect my husband, if he's following, people from back in California, whatever the case is, and he is liking pictures of girls with a cleavage and all that stuff out. That's a no. That's gonna be a hard no.
Mm-hmm. Be careful what you like, and and even
that's right.
When we're talking about certain people are going to do what they're going to do regardless if it's a social media or not. We definitely appreciate and like that comment, but we're talking also about if you are on that and struggling in that area, these are some things that you shouldn't do. Shouldn't accept friends that or friend people that have an attraction to you.
Mm-hmm.
If you do, when you have opposite sex, it should be brief. Keep it going.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely don't have any emotional or sexual discussions. Or content. You would think that's just common sense, but people do that and then wonder why their marriage is struggling in that area. So cut that off. Don't be sending pictures of yourself. Yeah, hey, what do you think of this suit? Well, who cares what you think? You're not my wife.
Right.
Or and definitely don't be like, oh man, my husband and I, or my wife and I, were struggling, sharing those things out there into the world, because then you have everybody commenting, or you're breaking down barriers to protect your marriage. Always even have an accountability partner, making sure that your spouse knows, your friends or whatever. And then finally, having well, two more things. You should always have open dialogue. Stuff change. Some people use social media for business, for other areas. So just
like what we're doing.
Yeah, what we're doing. What is acceptable, what you think, or whatever. My wife isn't on Facebook, but she has access to my account. I show her, whatever.
It's
so
on
that's
my phone.
thing,
His account is on my phone. So
and so being able to share stuff or having a joint account or make it, have undeniable access, to whatever. To whatever it is. So those are some things that when you're in marriage, you should think about as far as, being successful in a relationship. So, conversations with the ex, who said it may or may not be, is usually not okay unless, you're dealing with certain things. Should you or should you not tone down sexy, in the marriage? How does social media affect the positive and negative relationships, and everything in the marriage? And we talked about finances and friends of the opposite sex. So do we want to hit the boys trip or just go back into the boy and girls trip? You want to do that? Or?
Well, we can say a little bit about it, and then we talk about what was the last one that you
how to come back from an offense.
Okay. Oh, how to come back from a friend? Oh, well, you would just, again, these are topics that we have had and gotten from other people that have wanted to discuss these things. These are things that couples fight about, but they never really talk about. They never really have a conversation about it. Mm-hmm. So you want to have conversations about these things, but sometimes you don't. So we're kind of giving you some tools and some answers that are kind of blanket tools and answers that will help across the board, that if you do these things, you should, you'll be safe. But boys and girls trips, like if you're going on trips with your girls, if you're going on trips with your boys, are those things appropriate? Absolutely they are. I think they're great. I think they're healthy. I think they're wonderful. But now, are you doing it all the time? And are you going with people, guys, are you going with guys that are not faithful to their girl? You know what I'm saying? Are you literally going all the time with guys that's not being true to their girl? Are you going with girls that are not true to their husbands, or they act a certain way when they're not, or they with other girls, or other men or other women, you know what I'm saying, doing things that they shouldn't be doing? It depends on those types of friends. And if you have those kind of friends, then you need to not friend them, because spirits are transferable. What you're doing is transferable. The type of behavior that your friends have, it will eventually rub off on you. Right. Unless you're the really strong and dominant person. So you really want to make sure that you're really watching that when you're going on boys and girls trips. But having a girls trip is it's wonderful. You got people that are like-minded, that have great integrity. Absolutely, I think it's a wonderful thing to do.
Don't even need a trip, going out all the time to the club, or just hanging out all the time, girl, just without your spouse. You just don't want to put confidence in your flesh, because if you keep putting yourself in those situations, once again, it might be a wall that has been broken, or a barrier that's been broken, because you put yourself out there.
Yeah.
And like you said, spirits are transferable. It'll weigh on you. You start thinking you start being more like-minded, and it'll be an opportunity for something to come into your marriage that will bring separation. It's all really about relationships, about commitment and accountability. Right. And that's very, very, very important. So, our last thing we want to talk about tonight is that sometimes these things happen. Sometimes there are issues in marriage, whatever topic that we talked about, finances, infidelity, trust issues. So what do you do when that happens? How do you come back from offense? And, and really the basics of that is to really, how do you deal with forgiveness? How do you deal with being the journey to heal? A lot of times people think that forgiveness is a weakness, that they've lost something if they forgive, or they want to hold a grudge, when actually forgiveness is freedom. Mm-hmm. Right? It's setting and yourself free, and strength. Yep. And setting yourself free from that oppression and bondage, because the enemy is the accuser of the brethren. Mm-hmm. He'll always bring back the offense that your spouse did, and never let you know that there was freedom in forgiveness.
Absolutely.
And that's very important. And then, one part of coming back from an offense also is the tone that you set. Toning your conversations. A lot of times when you argue, most of the time, 90% of what you say and how you say it, your tone is going to set that argument off or diffuse the argument. Most of the 10% of the issue is really not important. It's how you talk to one another.
Absolutely. The tone in which you speak. And like I said, as we're wrapping up, the tone in which you speak and the way that you deliver grace, is super, super important. And, you got to even watch when you have a spirit of when there's been an offense, you got to make sure that you have grace for the things that you do, because sometimes if you don't watch yourself, you'll be guilty of doing things and then not offer grace for it. If it's like, and I use comical examples. If you leave your socks on the floor, but your husband leaves his socks on the floor, but you yell at him for leaving his socks on the floor, but your socks are on the floor. Are you serious? Have grace for him for something that you also do, because you do the exact same thing, but you have no grace for him. Have grace for all of those things. And then again, forgiveness is sometimes super difficult, depends on the level of the offense. Some offenses are very deep, but regardless of what the offense is, you always have to go back to the beginning and rebuild.
Right.
If trust is broken in any way, whether it's been broken in finances, whether it's broken in relationship, whether it's broken, and you have to go all the way back to the bottom and rebuild it as if you just started building trust. Definitely. Because it's a very, very important part of a relationship, a part of a marriage, but it is probably one of the most important parts. You know what I'm saying? It's small, but it's huge at the same time.
And that's stuff that we've experienced, and definitely that we've lived. That's a reality. And a part of that coming back from the offense, you have to do two things. You have to be willing to compromise, and you have to be willing to communicate. And then one of the biblical foundations that I live by, even in our marriage, is that the Bible says to be kind to one another. And one another is definitely your spouse. You have to be kind and be kind to one another, but also be tenderhearted. And I talked about why that is important before, to a man to be tenderhearted. And the Bible says to forgive one another. Even in certain areas, you want to forgive, even as God, for Christ's sake, forgave us.
Absolutely.
So it is very, very important that you do forgive, and be able to come back for that. And one thing that a lot of times I think that we've experienced or that we've seen when trying to come back from offense is basically, how do you pray for your spouse, or how do you deal with your spouse in the areas that they're deficient in? And one thing I suggest is that you never underestimate the power of prayer. The power of prayer is the foundation of marriage, and it's important that you pray together.
Yes.
And then it's important that you pray for each other separately.
Absolutely.
And I think we talked about that probably 10 episodes ago, about how to pray, the power of prayer, how to pray as an individual, and how to pray as a couple.
Absolutely. There's such great power in hearing someone pray for you. There's such great joy and great just like serenity when you hear somebody pray positive words for you, and not anything. When I hear my husband pray for me, it just blesses me. It just absolutely blesses me when I hear his words, when I hear his voice praying for me and asking God on my behalf. There's just no greater feeling than that. And then when, they hear you praying for them, it should, those words are a blessing. Those words are a blessing, and you petitioning God on their behalf is a blessing. And it builds trust. Mm-hmm. And it breaks down walls. Yeah, it helps to break down walls that should not be there. Mm-hmm. It reinforces your fences, but it breaks down walls that should not be there. When you're praying together and communicating and connecting together. That is like one of the most important things foundationally for restoration and forgiveness and building and longevity and power and peace and joy and happiness in a marriage and in a relationship, is that prayer. I look forward to, we usually pray in the morning. That's part of our morning just thing that we do. Sometimes after he takes Justice to school, or takes our, the kids to school or whatever, when he comes back, gets back in bed with me, and we pray. And that really is a blessing to our day. And it really helps our day in our life. No matter what comes up in the day, we know God has us.
Right. So how do you do that? What should you pray? Because a lot of times our spouse has issues or things mm-hmm. that they have to fix, mm-hmm. And then basically you have to, so we're saying pray, but pray what? How do you do it? Well, I suggest that, you basically never nag.
Right.
Never nag. but pray. And, don't pray, oh Lord, deliver, I mean, it's okay to say, but don't, deliver him from this, that, blah, blah, or
Yeah, don't pray
him,
that. Don't pray that in front of him.
In front of him or her, you don't
or
pray
her,
that.
yeah.
But when you're alone time, or
Yeah.
when you're even praying together, you say something like, shape their heart, Lord, bless their heart, shape their character, keep them from temptation.
Yes.
A lot of times when I'm traveling, Jean, prays for, travel, prays for my job.
Yes.
She doesn't have to do that, but it's encouraging because it shows that she's cared about, my situation, or what's going on. Pray that you should, their conduct shapes is shaping. Basically pray for the fruits of the Spirit. Galatians talks about what are the fruits of the spirits, which are love, joy, peace, long suffering, kindness, goodness, fruitfulness, gentleness, and self-control. So if you're praying for your spouse in those areas,
if you pray the fruit,
right,
you will have an amazing tree.
You're going to, hey, that's good. I like that. Amazing tree. And it's important. And that's how you really connect. And you can pray those things together as well. And that not only will they encourage your spouse, but it's going to help change your spouse.
Absolutely. I think that's amazing. That's probably my favorite part of us, what we have shared today. And when you were sharing that with me, that really blessed me. The fruit of the Spirit, again, not being belligerent to your spouse. Lord, make him stop being a knucklehead. Make him treat me right. Let him buy me nicer stuff. Let him pay more attention to me, Lord. That is not going to cut it, ladies and gentlemen. But if you ask Father God, give my spouse a heart that's like your heart. Let my spouse love me like you want them to love me, and let me love them like you want me to love them. Lord, let us be so fulfilled in every area of our relationship. Bless us in every area. Let us fulfill one another. Anoint us to fulfill one another. And as you do those things together, and really ask God to give you transparency of heart. Even in those places that you don't let anybody in, the places that those unspoken requests, the places that you don't let anybody see, God sees, and he can give you revelation, because God has given me on a number of occasions revelation about my husband, stuff that he didn't share with me, but God gave me revelation about it. But he's also given him revelation about me. He'll just one day just roll over and stop praying for me or laying hands on me and saying, I'm praying for this for you, for you. And it will be God giving it to him.
Yes. Yeah. We believe that. I like what Dominique said. If you pray the fruit, you will have an amazing tree. And that's good. That is really good, because basically if you're praying for the fruits of the Spirit, then when God does that, those characteristics, it's going to change your conduct. It's going to change their conduct. It's going to change their character. But most of all, it's going to change their heart, because God is the mender of the broken heart. He's a heart fixer. He is the heart shaper. And that's what he loves to deal with, is the heart. So, it's very important how you pray, and do not pray. The enemy is never going to tell you to go pray.
Never.
So that is coming from God.
Absolutely.
But don't let the distractions of just the day go and you guys not pray together. That is how, no matter if it's finances, Facebook, whatever the situation is, the foundation of the solution is prayer.
Absolutely, because guess what? God, he will read your grocery list, okay? If you write down a grocery list, and we shared this before, and we're actually wrapping up, but there was an evangelist, and when she was little, she her mother wrote out a grocery list. They didn't have any money, but they needed some food, and she said, we're going to write out a grocery list on what we want God to bring. And I didn't have any money, so they wrote out the list, and they prayed over the list and asked God to do it. And after she had to go out and run some errands, and her young daughter and her young son were at home, and they had some people that came by the house, and they said, we just felt led. They asked if their mother was home. She was like, she's not back home yet. He said, well, we felt led to stop by the grocery store. We hope that you're not offended, but we wanted to bring you these groceries. And everything was on that grocery list. Everything that was in that bag was on that grocery list, except for one thing. And when the mother got home, she said, okay, well, where is the milk? And she said, they didn't bring any milk. So she said, God, I know that you read this grocery list. For the sake of the faith of this child, I want to go by and I want to see if they had that on the list. So she went by and she asked, she said, was there anything that you were going to get that you did not get? She thanked him and everything. And they said, well, we were going to get milk, but our kids don't really drink milk. So we didn't know for sure if we should get it. And we didn't get it. And she just was so grateful. And they ended up eventually going by and getting the milk and bringing it to her. But again, she said God read everything on her grocery list. God reads everything on your grocery list. He reads. If you put something out there for him, God can read. He's so can understand what it is. And it doesn't have to be, you asking the Lord for a fruit, or you asking the Lord for a turkey or a ham. It could be that you could need groceries today, but whatever it is that you're asking God to do, write the vision down and make it plain. And you and your spouse lay hands on it and believe God for what those things are, because I believe that what's on my grocery list, that we made a grocery list at the beginning of this year. I believe God's reading it, and I believe God's going to do it. He's already started to do some things. So definitely, I'm believing that.
Definitely. So tonight, we just encourage you guys to keep pushing forward in marriage and relationships, and don't forget that marriages do need spoken guidelines. And when you speak and communicate with each other, it's not setting rules or regulations,
right?
But rather it's to protect yourself,
yes,
against the humanity's nature to be
ratchet,
inclined to be tempted.
Absolutely.
And basically that's it. So all you're doing is saying, hey, let's talk about this, whether it's been 1 year marriage, 5 years, or 50 years of marriage. You have to communicate, because communication is the key and one of the foundations, besides prayer, to have a successful marriage. And if you set guidelines, rules, regulations, not rules and regulations, but have a conversation on what works in your marriage, is all it's doing is protecting you from having troubles and issues later in life.
Absolutely.
Yep. So, put Ephesians 4:32 in your heart. We encourage you guys today. Thank you so much for hitting us back and talking to us and communicating with us. We love each and every one of you guys.
Yeah.
Please share and like this broadcast and tell somebody to come tune in us next week. And we're believing that God is going to provide and that he is going to read your grocery list. Sit down with your spouse this week. Write some things that you want,
some goals.
Some goals.
Things that you want God to do for your children, for you, for your finances, for your house, for your car, whatever it is. And then be active in it. Prophet Trumbo, his wife, she makes floral, like hats and pins and things like that. And I think it's so sweet that he really promotes her business. He really promotes what she does. Try to promote what your spouse does. Push what your spouse does, because you're pushing yourself. You're blessing yourself. And I like to commend him on that. I love to see when couples do that, because she hasn't had to text me one time. He keeps texting me, hey, look this, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get this, I'm gonna do that. So but those kinds of things lets your spouse know that you're in their corner. So just saying all that. But again, write some things down this week that you want God to do. And I believe we're going to be believing with you. We pray for you all the time, but we're going to be believing with you that God answers in a great, great way.
Yeah. And even if you're single, make your grocery list, because
that's right.
What it does is that it challenges God to prove his word.
Absolutely.
And the most remarkable thing is when God proves his word. And what's even more remarkable is when you go back and look at what you asked for.
Yes.
And you see what he did for you.
Absolutely.
And I believe this is the year for that. So
absolutely.
We love you guys. Thanks for tuning in. Share this with somebody. We will see you guys next week. We will also be doing our giveaway coming up soon for appreciation. So please tell somebody to come and join us and chat with us. Continue to send in your messages and your DMs. We read each and every one of them.
Yeah.
So we'll see you guys next week. This has been Frederick and Jean Watts, 1160 seconds. Follow us on Watts Up Entertainment on Instagram and Facebook, and go to our YouTube page, and so you can see all 22 sessions or whatever we've done.
Yeah.
All right. We can see you guys next week.
All righty. God bless. Bye-bye.